Good morning everyone, happy Monday. I spent the morning doing some admin, I paid my employees, all that jazz, and I'm now off to Spotlight. I've got a little random list of things to do today to prep for some of our big weddings. So all of our February weddings were kind of collated into one weekend. So we've got 3 in one weekend. One is like a 2-day event as well. So like technically 4 events. So we're just kind of prepping as much as we can for it. I've also got a concert that I'm going to. I'm going to the Band Camino on Thursday night. And then it kind of ramps up from there. It's a usual Monday though. So I do a lot of admin, a lot of recipes for upcoming weddings, a lot of running around, and then yeah, rest of the week kind of smooths out. It's a lot easier. But yeah, as long as I do enough admin today, the rest of the week is cruisy. Some urns delivered for a wedding that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and they are so cute. I got them off of Temple and Webster, like an Australian kind of dropship website, but they were $50 each. Like, that is so good, such a bargain. And it's nothing too fancy, but they're nice and sturdy because they're fiberglass, which is amazing. Usually you don't get that good quality for that price. But those urns down there cost me like over $200 each, and they're not as heavy. So these being fiberglass, it's like, yeah, incredible. I've kept the fridge on so that when we are cleaning, it's not gonna kill us with the mold or anything in there. Lots of things, we're gonna do a big vacuum, big cleanup. All the vases are getting cleaned, candle sleeves, holders, the lot. So we're kind of doing a big stock take for what we need. So that's kind of the morning. I'm sure you'll see a montage of it, really, I guess. But yeah, one of the reasons why we leave the fridge on to clean it is just so that the airflow goes through, because I think there's nothing worse than having like a stale, hot fridge that you have to try and wipe out. And obviously you're going to be in there like while you're cleaning it, so it's just not nice to have your head in there when it's like feral. Okay, sundry run done. I've had a coffee this morning. My sundries came to a whopping total of $750. For what I got, is pretty good, but that is everything that we could need for the next 15 weddings, literally. So that will take me, I'd say, 5 weeks to get through, which you don't realize there's so much more than just flowers that goes on behind the scenes. So I'm gonna head back to the studio now, and then we have a full day of unpacking and cleaning, which will be fun. We're off to the markets this morning. We have 3 beautiful weddings this weekend and like one that lasts over 2 days, so technically 4 events. The market run today is going to be really fun. This will be a really good behind the scenes of kind of how we do things. Pretty much when we're there, we check over the orders, make sure that everything's there if we need any subs or anything. Peruse through the showroom to see if there's anything cool that's come in. As well, I always leave a little bit of budget for just in case. It can look really good when you pick it up from the markets because it's been in a cool room for 3 days, and then you bring it out to the world and sometimes things don't last. Now to make a framework for a big hanging install that we've got for Saturday. Bunnings hat for the occasion, just so that they know I'm legitimate. Walking in there with a pair of Birks and this hat on, I think I'm set. first time that I'm using this mic whilst making something. So I thought I'd talk you through our day, how big it was. Oh my goodness. So we had 3 weddings in one day today. I had the beautiful Alana and Tora helping me today, and my husband Matt as well. It was arguably very smooth sailing, which is not like anything that we've ever experienced before. I was so surprised that we had minimal things go wrong. Definitely had our challenges, but I wouldn't say that anything got like necessarily ruined or destroyed. Definitely forgot a few things. Dustpans. The system that we used was an actual nightmare. We decided to make the hanging piece low down so that we could kind of work while standing. And then we thought we would hoist it up. The only problem was we used chains, and it was square metal posts. It just wouldn't go anywhere. There was too much tension on the chain because it was so heavy. It was just crazy. Yeah, it was a full-on day. Our first wedding we had in the morning, TT's, hers went really well. It was so windy. Gorgeous. She had a beautiful marquee. It was really lovely. We did big aisle pieces for it, which was really nice. However, it was so windy. So we obviously bolt everything down into the ground. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is to bolt things down when you don't think it's going to be that windy. I honestly, 10 pegs have saved my life time and time again. My father-in-law has given me a fantastic gift over the years, and I've bought myself kits after kit of them, but they are drill in tent pegs. So they've got like these little blue kind of markers on the top, and it comes with a drill bit, and you literally drill them into the ground. So much easier than hammering. It's just fantastic. I love them so much. The morning went well. We were on time as well, which is like one of the biggest things when you're working a wedding, is being on time, staying on schedule as well. We tried to be as organized as possible beforehand. So we had a very late night last night. I was making from, I want to say 7 a.m. and then we didn't finish until 10 p.m. which is very unlike the type of work that we do. I try my best to balance out my work and my life, giving myself sanity. However, it's just one of those weekends when you decide to take 3 weddings in one weekend, and one of them is a 2-day event. So technically four events in the space of 24 hours. So super, super fun for that. But no, this morning went well. And then the girls also were here making a lot of these. Got 4 left. We had 17 to do for tomorrow, which is actually insane. I'm just finishing them off. The girls ended up driving, so they were finishing these off, and then they drove to one of the beautiful wedding venues we've got in the Swan Valley here in Perth, called Nicola Estate. It was gorgeous, and they were there. They set all the reception. They absolutely nailed it, the girls. They did such a good job. And then they set everything up for us to come in with the hanging install to finish that off, as they were off to the 3rd wedding. So what ended up happening was we set wedding number 1, we came back to the studio, then we packed everything ready to give to the girls for wedding number 2. Essentially drove the van to them, swapped van loads. So we repacked their van with the next wedding that they were going on to. Then we stayed and finished the rest of the reception and the hanging install. It was a pretty wild day. I would say like we were quite fast paced. I feel like we had a relatively good day, I think. Then the girls went out to a wedding venue out in the southwest. So it was about an hour-and-a-half drive, which was great, but however, very windy. So one of the big things as well when we have wind, especially here in Perth, is nothing wants to stand up. Nothing will stay. It doesn't matter if it's a giant fiberglass plinth that weighs like 50 kilos. If the wind goes over 20 knots or 40 k's an hour, things just start blowing over. And as much as we love the vision that our brides want and beautiful plinth installs with gorgeous meadows on top, it's so unachievable when the wind is that bad. It becomes unsafe as well. So one of the big things that we do is we prep our brides and saying, hey, just letting you know, if the wind goes over, are you okay with us creating a ground install instead? Super simple. We just take all the pieces that we were going to make and we make a little semicircle on the ground. It still gives such a beautiful effect, still looks gorgeous. However, it's just so much safer, and we can bolt it into the ground. We can screw it in so that it doesn't move. So we had to do that for one of our weddings. However, we used all the plinths that we were going to use in the reception as well. So they definitely got to still use the pieces that they wanted. It was a lot more manageable for us. The girls were saying that they tried the plinths and then they would walk away for like half a second and then they'd fall over, or they'd start to tip. And then so one of them was holding onto the plinths to see how well it would hold, and they just kept falling over. So look, we do what we can, but we cannot control the weather. So that was the third ceremony today. So the girls hung around and then moved everything from the ceremony to the reception after their little break that they had while everyone was getting married. And in that time, we went back to the first wedding as they finished at about 4 o'clock. And then so we headed straight from our hanging install straight into packing down this wedding. So with this wedding, we had the big 2-day kind of event. One event is like dark and moody. The other is like peachy pastels, a little bit of soft pink, which is gorgeous. However, we want to be able to use as much as possible. So one of the things that we do offer is being able to adjust your pieces based on how well they survive outside. So if they're indoors, not a problem. We can definitely reuse. Things stay relatively healthy. We'll pull out a few stems that didn't make it throughout the day, depending on if it's hot, sun through the window, anything like that. Then we kind of like rejig, rewater, make sure it's all perfect, and then we can reuse for a different event. This was under a marquee, which we didn't know how it would go. Based on wind, we did very, very well for how well things have held up. I'll show you kind of what we've made. It's a bit dark now because it's quite late. It's 7:10. So we've been going for 12 hours now, which is a bit crazy. But yes, so we'll water everything, readjust. We did fantastically for the product that we ended up saving from the wind, as it was all under a marquee as well, so protected by the sun. It wasn't a very hot day today. For the end of February, it was brilliant as well. This is going to be posted a lot later than what it is. If I'm talking about February, if I'm talking about summer, and it's like the middle of winter in Australia, just ignore, just pretend that it was like yesterday. Essentially, all I'm doing now is the final touches for things. It's one of those things when you have such big events and you've got to do readjustments that sometimes it is better to just work through and have one massive day and know that everything is done, rather than trying to squish it all in tomorrow and make things stressful. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years is just to be prepared. Like, there is nothing worse than being unprepared for something. Like for a wedding, it's just insane. It's not the most pleasant thing when you rock up somewhere and something's not right or hasn't been double checked, or it gives me nightmares. People have fears. They're scared of the dark, they're scared of bugs. I'm scared of messing up a wedding. And I've had my fair share, definitely. I've had miscommunication with clients. It's just like, and never again will I make those types of mistakes. Once I have adjusted these, finished these off, I've literally only got 2 more to make after this one. Then I am watering everything, popping it all into the cool room. And speaking of the cool room, don't know if you heard it, popping it all in. And then we have made everything ready for tomorrow, which is so nice. So good.